logical-minded. It's just emotional intelligence, I would say, is more of a feminine aspect that we all have within us, right? We all have emotions, we all feel inside, and being able to understand that is integral to managing yourself, managing your impulses, like your aggression, right? You can understand why you feel aggression, you're more able to manage it. And if you're not taught how to do that, then what are you supposed to do?
But I think you're looking at that from a woman's point of view.
Okay.
And so I'm saying, like, that's not how men are respected in society typically.
Do you think that's a byproduct of society that we built, right?
I think it's just like you can't undo biology, and it just is what it is. And I just think we should stop trying to change the way people are.
But you can't undo biology. There's epigenetics, right? Your DNA is constantly shifting and changing based on the environments you're in, right? You constantly respond to your environment, right? Your brain can constantly change. It's constantly like neuroplasticity, right? You can change your biology, right? And it's about what we're fed. You say society is, that's the way it's set up. Yes, I agree, but I think there's a better society where we can teach.
But I just think who are you to say like how we should be? And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we've gotten to this point through like thousands of years of evolution and like societies being built, and now we're saying F it and let's change it completely.
I'm not saying we haven't made mass developments and that sort of thing, but I think there's a better. I'm not saying that we're impossible or anything like that. I think it's worth talking about though when we live in a society where a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling to survive, right? And it's not the best society for everyone. And if we truly want to incorporate everyone's best interest into society and make sure that everyone is understood and accepted and loved,
do you know what we should do? We should bring back virgin girls, because that would give the best outcomes. Because like the best outcomes is a family. Societies are built off of families. So is it good for society and people in general to have baby mamas left and right? Is that good? Is that good for a family? Is that a healthy situation for a kid to grow up in?
If you have people who aren't understanding, who aren't compassionate, and who aren't able to provide love, then no, I would say it's not a good society. But I think our society is.
Do you think in general, just in general? Wait, can I just say? Would you say in general it's good for a kid to be raised by a single mother? In general, just yes or no?
I would say that.
Yes or no?
But this is kind of
No, I know, but I just need.
I think it can be. It just depends on the community that's around.
Okay.
It really doesn't.
It does.
Even though that puts a kid at every statistical disadvantage, they're more likely to run away from home. They're more likely to drop out of school.
Because we live in a system that doesn't support single mothers, doesn't support people, we live in a divided system.
Okay. How do you not support single mothers when if you get pregnant you can have an abortion and you get free housing if you get pregnant?
I think housing
if you're a single mother
is
and you get government benefits.
Those are basic human rights, though.
Right,
the right
but
to be able to live.
That doesn't happen to men. They're just homeless. They're just homeless.
So then I see an issue with that too. I think we all deserve compassion, and we deserve to live in a society where everyone has their basic human rights met.
Right, but I'm saying who pays for it? Who pays for it? Like,
that's a conversation we need to start having. It's a conversation we genuinely need to start having if we want everyone to live at a certain standard and actually be able to live.
And then how do we like, why do I have to pay for someone who made poor decisions? Like, if you chose to be a single mother, I didn't choose to do that. I damn well could be pregnant right now. Like, why do I have to pay for someone else's bad decision? You made that decision. And like, oftentimes we try to take accountability off of women and we stop them from facing the consequences of your decisions. Like, that was a decision you made.
No, and I agree. I think everyone should have accountability, but that we also can't place blame on people.
But that comes with accountability. It's blame.
But when you place the blame, right, when working out how we could make a better system.
Like, accountability is saying that was my fault and taking blame. So like, even earlier when they're being accountable, they're saying, yeah, I'm taking the blame.
So collectively educating people to not make those decisions, right, to make decisions.
No, I think women are educated. We just choose not to. I mean, you know what you're doing when you have sex. You know when you're ovulating. You know if you're on birth control or not on birth control. You know all of these things and you make a choice.
I would say the way we are educated maybe is kind of the wrong focus, because we're not educated around emotional stability. We choose men who leave, or we choose men who are going to stand up, because like you said last time, that we choose to ignore red flags, right? And I see there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? And we're not really taught about how our relationships with our parents or how our primary relationships really govern the relationships that we choose, right? And so a lot of us go through that kind of space not being aware of what we're choosing. And I'm not saying that removes accountability. I say you have to be accountable, but if we can create a system that teaches people about these dynamics, we can stop that from happening.
I think women know we just don't care. I mean, I have sat down with friends and said, yo, here's red flag number 1, here's red flag number 2, here's a PowerPoint on why this isn't going to work. And women, we don't care, because when we like a guy, See no evil, hear no evil.
Right.
And if you end up in a bad situation, you get pregnant by that guy, like, it doesn't matter. Women don't care.
As a matter of fact, last time when you were on the show, I read a bunch of statistics as to when it comes to single mothers, right?
But then
Hang on, I read a bunch of statistics as to why single children born of single mothers are at statistically a disadvantage when it comes to homelessness, when it comes to prison, when it comes to adoption, when it comes to all of these things. And still, even with all the statistics, people find a way in which to justify a reason to become a single mother, right? And it's like, when you speak, I'm not saying that, you know, what you're saying is valid. I'm saying, regardless, after you speak, the statistics are still there.
Yeah,
Okay? They are still there.
But like I said last time, I would say there are other factors that go into that. There's factors of the system, right? People living in poverty, people living in circumstances that they aren't able to properly give support to a child, right? And I'm not saying that society has to step up and necessarily support that. I think we should live in a more collective and collaborative society where everyone puts in the same amount of effort.
I think I should have $5 million in my bank account, but I don't.
And I don't think that's relevant to what I was saying, but fair enough. I hope it happens.
You think, but the reality is different.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? So the reality is different.
But how can we shift the reality if we don't think ahead to the way we can do things better, the way we can support people better, right? How can we change the world we're in to help people live if we don't think about that, if we don't have these
I would say
conversations?
by taking accountability for your decisions and saying, don't sleep around with men you don't want to be fathers with. And I'm saying like, take accountability for your lot in life. Hey, if you get pregnant and you're a single mom, no one's bailing you out because that's a poor decision. Like I think that would even we had this grandma on here, Auntie Jenny, and she was saying like people in her day would get pregnant because they wanted to move out of their house and the government got them a house.
That's in my day.
Oh, sure.
In my day, women would get pregnant just so they can get a flat, just so they can get an apartment. Because UK government would give you an apartment if you're a single mother. And I think you have a really positive like worldview where you think maybe people won't take advantage of that, but they do.
No, and I'm aware of that, and I do know that I have a very, I'm aware of that within myself. It's not whimsical. I'm working on grounding it, which is why I enjoy being in spaces like this, because it helps pull me out of that. But I don't think it's impossible to be able to build a world like that. And I do agree that people will take advantage of it, right? But it's about getting to a point where they don't have to take advantage of it, where we can educate people about accountability and making better choices, right? But we have to also bring compassion and understanding before we do that. Understand why people are in these situations so you can shift it.
So what happens when you educate people and they don't care? So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So I have a relative. I'm not gonna. Sometimes my family's watching this thing, so I gotta be more broad.
Don't call them out.
Now sometimes I be a little too specific in my stories, and I hear that. I have a relative, and she is someone who will probably be homeless and on the street. And the reason is because she is a single mom, and the reason is because she made poor decisions where she was an alcoholic for years and stole from every relative until everyone was sick of taking care of her. And so it's like, well, why does she need to get bailed out? Because she makes poor decisions. She robbed all of us.
And I agree, right? Again, accountability is
what led to those decisions? I don't know. Her brother.
That's what I mean, and that's what I'm saying. You have to understand this, and I'm not saying it's not an excuse, right? They still have to take accountability for it. That people who have mental health episodes, you're often people still take accountability for that. But if you can understand the root of it, you can begin to shift.
You can understand the root and still take accountability, and by dealing with the consequences and having no one bail you out. Like my dad grew up in the same home. He grew up to be a multimillionaire with 10 kids and a beautiful family, and so it's like same house. And that's what I'm saying. You don't have an excuse. Like she doesn't have an excuse. She had the,
I have a very similar family situation. Funny enough, it's actually sorry.
I
have a very similar family situation where my dad was someone who built himself out of that situation. He made better choices, and he provided me the life I had because he made a decision to get out, and the rest of his family didn't really do that. And I've seen that, right? I understand that, but I still think it is sort of compassion for what they've had to struggle with, right? Some people are predisposed to making bad choices, and but just based on I guess things that happen.
But there's a difference between compassion. I can say like I understand, but I don't think it's compassionate or kind to bail someone out of a bad decision and allow them to keep doing it. Like in this situation, I think that relative would have stopped if people stopped bailing her out. And while initially it seems kind and compassionate, it allowed her to use everyone for years. And if someone cut her off from the beginning, she may have had a better outcome.
Right.
Thanks. Sorry.
Tennis, back and forth. I want to kind of go back to the initial question I asked about men being hoes. And Justin, was it Justin?
Yep.
You were saying that men can't be hoes, right? As a woman, do you understand why a man can't be a hoe?
Based on the conversation that we've had and the way that you look at it, yes. But I would say that I look at it a bit differently, but because I don't have that same
Guys,
success.
could you explain why men can't be hoes?
No, I understood your explanation. I get it, right? It's success because you have to work so hard to sleep with so many women, so therefore you're not a hoe because of the effort you have to put in. I get it, right? I don't equate success with how many people
do you
slept with.
also get that women generally want men with sexual experience?
I think it depends on the person, to be honest. I think, personally, yeah, I'd prefer someone with sexual experience, probably. Exactly. But I also would be with someone without sexual experience and be connected. It just kind of depends on
In your
the vibe is, you know?
Do you think that women want a man with sexual experience or no sexual experience?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a trick question. It's
it's an honest question. Yeah.
But I do think it's possible to also be with someone who doesn't have sexual experience, just because that's my preferred, because that's what I
mean, a lot of things are
possible. Go on.
Like, where does this even come up? Is it like, do you go, oh, hey, I've met this girl, I'm gonna maybe sleep with them. Oh, how much experience? Like, oh, they're going, oh, how many girls have you slept with? Oh, it's a transaction.
No, I think it's
conversation everybody I sleep with. Like, I actually ask almost every single girl I meet and hang out, just out of curiosity.
Do you put a lot of weight on that? So if a woman has slept with a lot of men, do you say, okay, I'm not going to sleep with you just because?
No, I personally, I love women who, in general, and I definitely like hoes, but I won't date them.
Why?
Because I don't want a woman I'm going to be emotionally committed to have all this emotional baggage from the past relationships.
So it doesn't necessarily, this is kind of what I was trying to say before, it doesn't have to equate to emotional baggage if a person chooses to acknowledge it and take accountability for the fact that they've slept with a lot of people, right? You can step out and people can change their habits.
Would you say in general it does? I think general. Like
probably,
a girl, like we had Linda on the show.
Linda, yeah.
This girl's so cute and innocent.
She's 20 and a virgin.
Yeah, like she's the cutest, sweet. Like
she was on the last show.
What's her Instagram?
and like you could tell she had no baggage, no trauma. Like every like joke anyone would say, like it would just go over her head because she was so innocent. You just don't get that with girls that have slept around a lot. Like you can even if you don't know their body count, like you can kind of just tell because they're more damaged.
People who can have damage without having slept around.
That's true.
You can have emotional baggage without being related to other people you've slept with.
You're right. You're correct. You can. But I'm saying in general,
Yeah.
would you say that the virgins tend to have less baggage than the people that did OnlyFans?
I say they probably have other baggage.
Well,
That's what I mean. Maybe less sexual baggage, right?
I like your reactions, but you need to learn to articulate them. Like this is, I love it. I love it.
This blows my fucking mind.
Why?
Because this is all like I would not even consider any one of these things a prerequisite or a parameter for like someone that I would potentially enter into a relationship or have intimacy with, or it's completely fucking foreign to me. Excuse my language.
No, it's fine.
It's just completely foreign to me. I would not. I don't understand it. I've been in polyamorous relationships. I've been I just don't understand it. I would never even be like, oh, hey, we're like hanging out for the first time. How many people have you slept with? Like it just wouldn't even come into my brain.
How often are you meeting new dating partners?
Fairly frequently.
So you're not communicating with them?
What's that?
You're not like communicating with them?
But why?
Getting to know them?
Yeah, of course not.
But I think the point is more that like body count isn't really a part of
When you
what
say
they value in
when you say
communication, right?
polyamorous relationships, are you saying that you're in a relationship where the woman that you're with can sleep with other men?
Yeah, I've been in open relationships.
That was actually my question. I was wondering.
Yeah,
clarify.
Yeah, I'll gladly.
So the woman that you're with is actually cool with sleeping with other men.
Well,
You're cool with it.
Well, it's not particularly in this But,
No, not in this moment, but you've been in there.
Yeah, many times. But it's also meant that I've been on the sleep.
So do you know what a cuckold is?
I know exactly what a cuckold is.
That's what that would be.
Yeah.
So you've been a cuckold?
No, that's not
No, because
exactly.
it's
No,
an
because
agreement
it's
between.
completely consensual.
Yeah.
It's completely with boundaries in place.
Do you have any preference, just out of curiosity?
In terms of what?
Whether you guys have an open relationship or just a committed relationship?
I normally prefer an open relationship.
So you prefer her being able to sleep with other guys?
And me to be able to sleep
But
with
no judgment on it. I'm just curious. Like you, it doesn't matter to you. She comes home, she got railed by 3 different dudes, and then she comes back and says, "Baby, I love you." It's like,
But I think,
you know what?
if that's their choice, then.
and I think as well with that, it kind of allows for sorry.
My masculinity is not fragile, and I'm quite.
I don't know how much masculinity you have after a woman is you're allowing your woman to get penises from somewhere else.
How do you define masculinity?
Men are territorial creatures.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
And if my woman,
Yes. Your woman. Your possession.
I'm a territorial individual.
Yeah. So you claim your woman.
If the woman that I have stated that this is mine is going to tell me that she's going to go and get a penis from somewhere else, and she can just go there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're not going to come back, but you can go. And I'm saying, I would say that the majority of men, I think that I would be okay in saying the majority of men would not want their woman being dicked down by somebody else.
Maybe that's a case of your own masculinity being a little bit fragile, man.
No, it's biology. Like you said,
no, it's not biology. You keep using that term.
It's biology.
I just think men don't like wiping these hoes. Come on.
It's okay to sleep with them, just don't date them.
I said wife.
Like,
It's like, okay, because you are your habit. So I wouldn't want to date a guy that's cheated on every single girlfriend that he's ever had. And so I can understand why a guy wouldn't want to date a girl that's been sleeping around for 10 years because it's going to be hard to one day stop. And I honestly feel the same way a little bit about guys because if a dude's been sleeping around forever, what are the odds I'm going to get him to settle down?
Right.
And so, like, I can understand where guys are coming from.
these guys put some really fucking weird parameters.
I'm just saying, the woman that you're letting go out and sleep with other men, she's not yours. She's not your woman.
Of course she's not mine. I don't own anyone.
So she's for the streets.
No, she's her own autonomous individual person. Like, she's not my possession. You seem to be putting a lot of ownership onto your girlfriend. You seem to be acting like you should have a collar around her neck and she's your pet.
I mean,
Some girls like that.
Yeah, some girls like that.
Yeah, and I'm not here for fucking king shaming either. Don't get me wrong. But you're putting a lot of oh, she is mine. Whereas I'm saying, no, this person that I'm with is their own alternative.
If I was to get married to a guy, I would feel like I'm his.
Well, see,
Genuinely, like, yeah.
I don't intend on ever getting married. I think
Like,
the idea of marriage is quite strange, to be honest. So,
and I get that it's not forever. But I don't really mind the idea of like belonging to a guy. I actually kind of like it.
Of course, and that's your own prerogative, isn't it? But do you want a guy specifically saying that they control you and that you're?
I think there are levels. But I would like a guy that could lead me and make decisions for us, and I would really like a guy that I could trust to make decisions
with your consent as well. With your consent on top of that.
Well, yeah, it's submission.
Not to just force their.
Well, I think all of the guys are like they want a guy that or girl, a girl that wants to follow them. It's not like they want a girl that doesn't want to be there. So I'm saying like if I was with a guy and he wanted to have an open relationship on both ends, I would be concerned. I would think like what. Yeah, because I would trust your judgment because I just think that's bad judgment on a guy's part. No offense, like you know.
Do you think a woman actually respects you if she's taking penis from somebody else? Like if she's taking penis elsewhere and she's coming, do you think she actually respects you?
Can we ask the girl maybe? I'm actually curious to get your take on this. If you're dating a guy, let's just say not me, but if we're dating a guy and he says, "Baby, I love you. You're everything I ever wanted in a girl. Like, you're perfect. Your body, your smile, the way you treat me, everything about you is perfect." But if you want to go out and fuck other guys, I'm totally cool with it.
So it's,
how would you take that?
But this is an interesting question.
And I'm actually okay with your belief system. It's like, teach their own. It's not the norm, so it's probably weird to hear, but if, teach their own. Everybody have their own beliefs. Oh,
so
sorry.
we talking about me personally?
It's a bit, it's a bit cock to me. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit cuckold.
You can describe to whatever
Yeah, I'm curious what you're going to say.
It's an interesting question to ask me right now. I've always really valued the idea of monogamy. And when I was like 19, I fell in love with someone. It was not a healthy relationship. It was pretty toxic, but I really love the idea that we were each other's persons. So I really believe in that. I believe that I have a person out there who I'm going to be a team with, right? And I believe in the masculine and feminine dynamic, right? I do believe in that. I've considered the idea of polyamory before, just based on the fact that when I met this person, I thought I would never connect to anyone as deeply as I connect to him, right? And that was more spiritually, emotionally, that sort of thing. And since then, I've met a lot of people that I've connected emotionally and spiritually to, and it's not always been sexual. Sometimes that's just friendships and that sort of thing. But I realized that the depth of connection I can have with people isn't really limited to one person. I still have an idea that I believe I have my person, but I think I could entertain the idea of an open relationship.
Would you prefer it?
This is where I'm at right now. I actually don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. It's still something I'm trying to figure out because I do, like I said, I value the idea of, like, I want a family. I want to have, I want to be a mom. I want to have a kid. I want to have a very strong family dynamic. That's kind of something I see for myself. And I don't know if an open relationship would necessarily be conducive to that, based on what society kind of says, right? But I also believe that a child can be raised in a happy environment regardless of the parameters of the relationship.
Forget what society
as long
says.
as they're loved.
Forget what society says.
I think
if you meet a man, right, and he loves you and you love him, he's going to not generally, he's not going to want to let you. You're not going to want to loan your vagina out.
Yeah, and this is why I don't know if I'm polyamorous, because I don't like the idea of someone I'm with sleeping with other people. I'd want to be that, we choose each other, right, and we commit to each other, and then we would grow and build whatever from there. I kind of like I don't know if this is getting TMI, but I like the idea of bringing someone else into the relationship.
But the thing is,
a girl or a guy?
Whatever.
Guys, can the mother of your child loan her vagina out to somebody else?
I don't have any children, but I would predict no for me.
Guys?
Absolutely not. No chance.
What do you mean loan your vagina out? It's not a fucking transaction.
It may as
What if she gets pregnant? What if she gets pregnant? Is it right? It's not my child.
You're a unique individual. You are a unique individual.
Yeah, I know.
I love it. It's great TV. By the way, I'm not gonna lie. It's great TV. But I'm just saying, like, would you be okay with the mother of your child in a polyamorous relationship with you?
Yes.
What if she gets pregnant with another man's child? That's a good question.
If she has consented to being,
would you raise the child?
I was raised by a stepfather.
So you would raise the child?
Yeah, so I was the male that raised me, my alpha, it was not my biological father. So what
Well, society needs that. Society does need, men to raise women's kids in certain circumstances.
Yeah. And this is so when I saw something, like I think it was a post or something about a lawyer who was like a divorce lawyer, and he was saying to this couple that, what if my kids have to grow up with, two sets of parents? And they said, well, the kid can never have enough people to love them, right? There's always more people that can love a child and help them grow, right? Kids are raised by parents, right? And the more people that love them.
But they do need biological parents.
The problem is
not necessarily. They need a strong masculine figure, yes, and that can manifest in different ways.
I will say that one problem is that, I can't remember the stat off the top of my head. I'd look it up, but my laptop died. They took it. But it's like when somebody is a single parent, the most likely person that is going to sexually abuse them is someone they bring into the house in a relationship. And so you're putting your kid at risk. And I know everyone thinks like, oh, it wouldn't happen to me, like I would vet them better, but you just never know.
That's what everybody
So then I would bring it back to saying that's probably the exception.
It's the biggest of slipperies
in terms of that context, because I think if we go back to properly vetting someone and making proper choices, right, you have to consider the kids, right, and that's you can do that, then you're probably not taking that into account.
I agree with you. I do think it's the exception, not the rule. I don't think that every single step parent is abusing the child, but the point is you're still putting that kid at risk for abuse. You're putting them at risk. They're more likely to run away from home. They're more likely to
be on the streets.
Yeah, to be on drugs. Like it's like every
mental health issues.
Every statistical advantage that you could put a kid at, you're putting them at in a single parent home.
Right.
And
to be in jail. It's statistics. You can laugh and you can sigh
and even
Descoperă cu Philip Slapagău o varietate de
And you can quantify all your statistics as much as you like, but you're still just throwing random numbers that don't actually have any statistical.
I can even tell you, like, just anecdotally, and like, so just from talking to people day to day, like, I have 9 siblings, same 2 parents, we've adopted 3, and like when I talk to people that come from single parent homes about like my family's traditions every year, like I've never seen like such. Like they want that so bad, it's really sad. Like they've never experienced like no, sorry.
I'm laughing at something else.
No, it's sad though. Like they've never experienced like Christmas with both parents together. Like and then all the traditions we do. Like we do pictures with Santa every year. We do like Easter egg hunt. Like family's really big, and I just see like the loss that someone's at when they didn't get to grow up with 2 parents, and I just would have wished that upon anyone.
Comes down to 2 parents, yes, but also how adults that love you, right? And adults that are a team that can raise you, right? Because that's a big family and you have traditions, but you have traditions with lots of different family parents, right? And a polyamorous relationship, when a team comes together to raise a kid, you can still build traditions. Well, it's just a bit of a different dynamic.
But I think it's better. Like we kind of did have a team raise us because like we had help. And we also had like relatives that stepped in. My grandma's like I could name you a long list of people that helped and stepped in. But I think it's better when it's like in the family, and it's
What's the difference between a community that you build and a community that's biological?
I would say it's like more vetted, and so like because you're going around people that have known each other for years, like and
more vetted, like
because family members are family members are they can be that person who sexually abuses, you know, is possible for that to happen, right? That's not going to happen.
You're correct, but I would say that it's easier to like, how do I put it? Like everyone knows who the weird uncle is. Everyone knows who the weird uncle is in the family, and you keep your kids away from the weird uncle. And I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I just anecdotally would guess that it happens at a much lower rate when it's family than when it's random people that you've met.
And can I just say, because I want to go back to something that you said, because I said that children need 2 biological parents, and you said that they don't, right? How do you reconcile that a child who was born of 2 people doesn't need those 2 people? How do you reconcile? Like, how do you say they don't need that? If that's how they came into the world.
So my entire existence, I was raised by someone who wasn't my biological mother. He's my father. And
Were you raised by? Was your mother there? Your biological mother?
My biological mother was there, yes. And I was raised by my stepfather, who wasn't my biological father, and I've had 4 sisters. 2 were from a relationship prior to him being with my mother, and then he had 2 sisters. He had 2 daughters with my mother. And he was.
Do you know your biological father?
Yes.
You do?
Yes, I do.
So you don't have a relationship with him?
I don't have a massive relationship with him, but we're not dislike him.
As a child, if we go back to your childhood, did you want to know who your father was?
I knew him. I did know him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's not a case.
But you were lucky. You had someone step in. You did have 2 parents in the home. But I'm saying not every kid is that lucky.
Yeah, but like.
And you had a good stepfather.
Of course, but that wasn't the argument.
But you already knew him. So imagine you didn't know him. you don't think that children want to know their biological parents?
Well, so like until I was old enough to be able to actually like with my human brain quantify that he would like what the difference was between my stepdad and my real dad, I didn't know, did I? And then I was introduced to that, and I was explained the dynamics of that situation, and I was able to comprehend all that. And I've grown up pretty damn fine as far as that.
You do?
Yeah, I might be confusing to you. Like,
oh, you definitely confusing to me.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not normally down with the podcast, but
no, I hear you, but it's good to like engage.
But like the point is, you were lucky. You had a good stepdad. Yeah. But that's not every kid.
Right.
Of course, but
I'm saying who has a better incentive that a kid turns out good than both of the biological parents? Who has more incentive to make sure that kid turns out okay?
Well, my biological dad wanted to have me aborted, so
that happens. Yeah.
But I'm saying, did he tell you that?
Yes.
He told you that he wanted to have you aborted.
Yes.
You don't think that?
I confronted him with that.
Yeah, you don't think that had an effect on your psychological at all?
No, because I'm not a fucking idiot. Okay. I'm well aware that sometimes things happen in life and you like circumstances are out of our control, and sometimes I know if
your biological parent told you that they didn't want you. You don't think that had an effect on your psychology at all?
No.
I would say
Thank you.
I'd have to agree.
All right. Okay. So we've got 3 minutes saying it's true. So you explain why it's a logical fallacy.
So you're saying that if I don't get laid, I'm going to hit something?
I said you explain why it's a logical fallacy.
Well, you
based on the conversation that we've had, the
Right.
way that you look at it, yes. But I would say that I look at it a bit differently, but because I don't apply that same
Guys,
success.
could you explain why men can't be
No,
honest?
I understood your explanation. I get it, right? It's success because you have to work so hard to sleep with so many women, so therefore you're not a hoe because of the effort you have to put in. I get it, right? For me, I don't equate success with how many people
Do you
slept
also get that women generally want men with sexual experience?
I think it depends on the person, to be honest. I think, personally, yeah, I prefer someone with sexual experience,
Right,
probably.
exactly.
But I also would be with someone without sexual experience if we're connected. It just kind of depends on
In your
the vibe
experience,
is, you know?
do you think that women want a man with sexual experience or no sexual experience?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a trick question.
It's just it's an honest question. Yeah.
But I do think it's possible to also be with someone who has sexual experience, just because that's my preferred, because it's what I
I mean, a lot of things are possible.
Go on.
Like, where does this even come up? Is it like, do you go, oh, hey, I've met this girl, I'm gonna maybe sleep with them. Oh, how much experience? Like, oh, they're going, oh, how many girls have you slept with? Oh, it's a transaction.
No, I think it's conversation every girl I sleep with. Like, I actually ask almost every single girl, like, we hang out, just out of curiosity.
Do you put a lot of weight on that? So if a woman has left a lot of, like, men, do you say, okay, I'm not going to sleep with you just because?
No, I personally, I love women in general, and I definitely like hoes, but I won't date them.
Why?
Because I don't want a woman I'm going to be emotionally committed to have all this emotional baggage from past relationships.
So it doesn't necessarily, this is kind of what I was trying to say before, it doesn't have to equate to emotional baggage if a person chooses to acknowledge it and take accountability for the problems. Like a lot of people, right? You can step out, people can change their habits.
would you say in general it does? In general, like
Probably,
a girl, like we had Linda on the show.
Yeah.
This girl's so cute and innocent.
She's 20 and a virgin.
Yeah, like she's the cutest, sweet. Like
she was on the last show.
And
what's her Instagram?
and like you could tell she had no baggage, no trauma. Like every like joke anyone would say, like it would just go over her head because she was so innocent. You just don't get that with girls that have slept around a lot. Like you can even if you don't know their body count, like you can kind of just tell because they're more damaged.
people who can look damaged all the time.
That's true.
You can have emotional baggage without it being related to
can.
you
You're right. You're correct. You can. But I'm saying, in general, would you say that the virgins tend to have less baggage than the people that did OnlyFans?
So they probably have other baggage.
Well,
that's what I mean. Maybe less sexual baggage,
I
right?
like their reactions, but you need to learn to articulate them. Like this is, I love it. I love it.
Because this just blows my fucking mind.
Why?
Like, because this is all. Like, I would not even consider any one of these things a prerequisite or a parameter for like someone that I would potentially enter into a relationship or have intimacy with, or it's completely fucking foreign to me. Excuse my language.
No, it's fine.
It's just completely foreign to me. I would not, I don't understand it. I've been in polyamorous relationships. I've been I just don't understand it. It just, I would never even be like, oh, hey, we're like hanging out for the first time. How many people have we slept with? Like, it just.
I actually kind of like it.
Of course, and that's your own prerogative, isn't it?
My polyamorous, because I don't like the idea of someone I'm with sleeping with other people. I'd want to be that, we choose each other, right, and we commit to each other, and then we would grow and build whatever from there. I kind of like it. I don't know if this is getting TMI, but I like the idea of bringing someone else into the relationship.
Like a girl or a guy?
Whatever.
Guys, can the mother of your child loan her vagina out to somebody else?
I don't have any children, but I would predict no for me.
Guys?
Absolutely not. No chance.
Loan your vagina out. It's not a fucking transaction.
It may as
What if she gets pregnant? What if she gets pregnant? Is it right? It's not her child.
You're a unique individual. You are a unique individual. I love it. It's great TV. By the way, I'm not gonna lie, it's great TV. But I'm just saying, like, would you be okay with the mother of your child in a polyamorous relationship with you?
Yes.
What if she gets pregnant with another man's child?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
If she has consented to,
would you raise the child?
I was raised by a stepmom.
So you would raise the child?
Yeah. So I was the male that raised me, my alpha, it was not my biological father. So what
society needs that. Society does need, men to raise women's kids in certain circumstances.
Yeah. And this so when I saw something like it was a post or something about a lawyer who was like a divorce lawyer and was saying to this couple that, what if my kids have to grow up with, two sets of parents? And he's like, well, a kid can never have enough people to love them, right? There's always more people that can love a child and help them grow, right? Kids are raised by much, right? And the more people that love them.
But they do need biological
the problem is
not necessarily. They need a strong masculine figure, yes, and that can manifest in different ways.
I will say that one problem is that, I can't remember the stat off the top of my head. I'd look it up with my laptop on it. But it's like when somebody is a single parent, the most likely person that is going to sexually abuse them is someone they bring into the house in a relationship. And so you're putting your kid at risk. And I know everyone thinks like, oh, it wouldn't happen to me, like I would vet them better, but you just never know.
That's what everybody
so then I would bring it back to saying that's probably the exception.
That's the biggest of stories.
In terms of that context, because I think if we go back to that properly vetting someone, legally making proper choices, right, you have to consider the kids, right, and that's if you do that, then you're probably not.
I agree with you. I do think it's the exception, not the rule. I don't think that every single step parent is abusing the child, but the point is you're still putting that kid at risk for abuse. You're putting them at risk. They're more likely to run away from home. They're more likely to
be on the streets.
Yeah, to be on drugs. Like it's like every
mental health issues.
Every statistical advantage that you could put a kid at, you're putting them at in a single parent home.
Right.
And
to be in jail. It's statistics. You can laugh and you can sigh
and even
you can quantify all your statistics as much as you like, but you're still just throwing random numbers that don't actually have any statistical.
I can even tell you just anecdotally and so just from talking to people day to day, I have 9 siblings, same 2 parents. We adopted 3, and like when I talk to people that come from single parent homes about like my family's traditions every year, like I've never seen like such like they want that so bad. It's really sad. Like they've never experienced like no, sorry.
I'm laughing at something else.
No, it's sad though. Like they've never experienced like Christmas with both parents together. Like, and then all the traditions we do. Like we do pictures with Santa every year. We do like an Easter egg hunt. Like family's really big, and I just see like the loss that someone's at when they didn't get to grow up with two parents, and I just wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
But I think again that comes down to two parents, the experts of adults that love you, right, and adults that are a team that can raise you, right? Because that's a big family, and you have traditions, but you can have traditions with lots of different family dynamics, right? In a polyamorous relationship, when a team comes together to raise a kid, you can still build traditions. Well, it's just a bit of a different dynamic.
But I think it's better. Like we kind of did have a team raise us because like we had help. And we also had like relatives that stepped in. My grandma's like I could name you a long list of people that helped and stepped in. But I think it's better when it's like in the family, and it's
What's the difference between a community that you build and a community that's biological?
I would say it's like more vetted, and so like because you're going around people that have known each other for years, like and
more vetted, like
because.
Family members are they can be that person who sexually abuses. You know, it is possible for that to happen, right? That's not going to happen.
You're correct, but I would say that it's easier to like how do I put it? Like everyone knows who the weird uncle is. Everyone knows who the weird uncle is in the family, and you keep your kids away from the weird uncle. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I just anecdotally would guess that it happens at a much lower rate when it's family than when it's random people that you've met.
Can I just say, because I want to go back to something that you said, because I said that children need two biological parents, and you said that they don't, right? How do you reconcile that a child who was born of two people doesn't need those two people? How do you reconcile? Like, how do you say they don't need that? If that's how they came into the world.
So,
right?
So my entire existence, I was raised by someone who wasn't my biological parent, and he's my father, and he's raised.
Was you raised by? Was your mother your biological mother?
My biological mother was there, yes, and I was raised by my stepfather, who wasn't my biological father, and I've had 4 sisters. 2 were from relationship prior to him being with my mother, and then he had 2 sisters. He had 2 daughters with my mother, and he was.
Do you know your biological father?
Yes.
You do.
Yes, I do.
So you don't have a relationship with him?
I don't have a massive relationship with him, but I've had we're not. I don't dislike him. I don't like him.
As a child, if we go back to your childhood, did you want to know who your father was?
I knew him. I did know him.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
So
it's not a
But
case.
you were lucky. You had someone step in. You did have 2 parents in the home. But I'm saying not every kid is that lucky.
Yeah, but like.
And you had a good stepfather.
Of course, but that wasn't the argument.
But you already knew him. So imagine you didn't know him. You don't think that children want to know their biological parent?
Well, so like until I was old enough to be able to actually like with my human brain quantify that he would like what the difference was between my stepdad and my real dad, I didn't know, did I? And then I was introduced to that, and I was explained the dynamics of that situation, and I was able to comprehend all that, and I've grown up pretty damn fine as far as I might be confusing to you lads.
Oh, you definitely confusing to me.
Yeah, but I'm not normally down with the podcast, but
no, I hear you, but it's good to like engage,
But like the point is, you were lucky. You had a good stepdad, but that's not every kid.
Right.
Of course, but what
I'm saying who has a better incentive that a kid turns out good than both of the biological parents? Who has more incentive to make sure that kid turns out okay?
Well, my biological dad wanted to have me aborted, so
that happens. Yeah.
So
I'm saying,
did he tell you that?
Yes.
He told you that he wanted to have you aborted.
Yes.
You don't think that?
I confronted him.
Yeah, you don't think that had an effect on your psychological at all?
No, because I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm well aware that sometimes things happen in life and like circumstances are out of control. And sometimes, and I know if
your biological parent told you that they didn't want you. You don't think it had an effect on your psychology at all?
No, of course, one thing's very big. Exactly.
I don't know your life. Okay, I'm just gonna say okay.
I can't really challenge these.
No, I hear you. I'm
doing my job.
Do you think, Pearl, orthorexy?
Yeah.
So you might have to read the rest of the subjects.
I'm sorry.
You probably got about 1,000.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what you're going to say.
Don't shoot the messenger.
So it makes me another run.
Okay, KCF Stack. Shout out to King Richie's in the chat, waiting for your reaction to this cluster F. Shout out King Richie. Wizard 8. Facts. As embryos are exposed to endocrine distributors in the womb, men can be born with shortened distance of the taint correlation with the men having decreased testosterone. Not all men are the same. Draco Malfoy is PMSing. V Jokers. I'm 35 years old and I've never met my dad. Trust me, it sucks as a man. Bozzy, I can tell the middle simp loves Andrew Tate. Mark Purdue. The statistics for step parents are comparable to single parenthood. In some cases worse. It has to be when they're 4 or less. Wizard 8. The wall and feminine urge for monogamy are a reproductive urge. Feminism will trick you into breaking your ability to pattern bond, and you'll instead fall into a loop of failed relationships. Mosen, 1938. In polygamous situationships, do you meet the other sexual partners, and do you ask your sexual partner to get tested regularly? 93 to that's just what they wrote. 90 free to pay ball, dude. You don't see women as your own because you don't have a plan for the future, no legacy, no history, no purpose. You are chained to your base desires. Alita of Rock and Rolla. In 2020, there was 1 million abortions per all. If you even prevent one, that is priceless. Thank you, Zentians. To the cuck in the middle of the couch, you are not masculine. You lack boundaries and deluded yourself into being feminine. She is sharing her most intimate parts with other men, and thus nothing she gives you is intimate or private. She's not special. Marriage causes divorce. Blonde guy is very smart. Marriage is weird. Wizard 8. Beta male doesn't have the same sexual standards as the physically and mentally dominant men next to him who do. Poly relationships are for women. Check the definition of cuck again. 93 Tope. Sarah, tell her she's being whimsical again. Gus, modern women cause sexual and relationship attraction. Men and women are not the same. The majority of men who don't want other men to F their wife or their girl. Rosie, dude in the middle gets pegged for sure. The UK Economist, it's simple. A financial provider would typically care about her body count. Lower earning men who want a 50-50 relationship wouldn't care. Sentience, the redhead always brings up exceptions to the rule rather than being introspective and genuine. She is disagreeable to the point of being argumentative and masculine enough to have narcissistic levels of needing to be right. The wanderer, no cap. I have a girlfriend that insists I open up emotionally. I did it. It felt good. I won't lie. But a few months in, she admitted she found me less attractive. Wizard 8. Communism uses idiots to gain a foothold for big government to support displaced people. Then take from the working class and creates a system where small businesses individually fail. Zentians, the delusional redhead 304 is emphasizing equity rather than equality. Having equal outcomes regardless of effort quickly shows that people don't have to strive to do better because the outcomes are the same, thus preventing innovation or progress. NAS009, Red is talking about the indoctrination of the woke agenda, the savvy ninja. The system this girl is seeking is called the Bible. If you read and follow even 60% of what it says, you would save yourself from a lot of pain. Zentians, oh look, delusional redhead is back. You want to undo biology? The statement is ignorant and arrogant. Claiming housing is a basic human right shows you lack knowledge of what a right versus privileges. Shelter is a need, not a right. Armstrong, housing is a basic human right. WTF, go to my laws in the Philippines and say that. You're going to be laughed at. Food, shelter, and companionship are earned, not owned. Kilton Daniel, ain't not but about accountability. Mouse this username at 86. This fake redhead yet again doesn't think logically or even realistically though. LMAO, Pearl, I love your content. Wizard 8, Pearl, you make me want to be a better man. When can I get in your show and ruthlessly hit on you? How is Cheryl? Matchmaker here. Bakers get with bakers, etc. Pearl's archetypes are administrator, entertainer, innkeeper, mad scientist, ish, helper, warrior, tech, competitive, innkeeper, entertainer. Pearl's match would be Rosenberg type. Ish's would be a Jamela. No idea what you just said. Jeremy, any man who wants to attain a highly disciplined life needs to practice no fap. MJ Teves, I would suggest that single mothers raise men that women don't want. Most of the kids today are products of single mother homes. It's empowering to disregard entire future generations for your liberation. Zentians, men should not have female friends unless they're gay. Then focus on female relationships is wasted. When a guy said he should focus on himself and self-improvement to the point of finding a sexual partner. Okay, guys, I can't go through all of these. So
you have to, bro. That's what you're supposed to do.
Oh gosh, okay, I'll do a couple more. Bro, just shave it off, you're almost there anyway. Kendall Scott, geez, I never heard of blue balls before. Men needs a release medically. Young Max, how is it so hard to understand that a human being who isn't having a basic sexual need met isn't unhealthy, let alone a man with 50 times more testosterone? Kilton Daniels. They are not getting experience the warmth of a glazed donut. Marriage causes divorces. Both men and women can be 304s, but a man 304 is highly successful. A woman 304 equals baggage, trauma, daddy issues, and a low sexual market value. Bluntly speaking, prison is an example for Sarah's point. Guys and girls prisons can turn out by the same gender in a matter of months. Harvas 207 boxers without sex get aggressive. DC 081 to the woman in red saying right after your statements is to the woman in red saying right after your statements in an argument doesn't mean you're correct. Secondly, please remember the bra. Mosin 1938 question for the panel: What would be the effect in the West if we adopted the concept of dowry? Kilton Daniels ran through with a semi-truck trailer hitch, choo-choo. Bozzy, dude in the middle took the comments well. If only his hair was as thick as his skin. Zero fallout. Trust me, bro, I've slept with a lot of women. NH, to the guy that contradicted himself with the story about his dad wanting him to be aborted and his mom choosing to keep after saying it's absurd, to the argument that women have more power. C Blue, the most beta guy on the panel, the guy on the couch, put your socks down. Oh, okay, I think that's all of them.
You done?
I think there's going to be more, but if you just go around and do final thoughts.
Guys, girls, ladies, females, whatever you choose to be called nowadays. Yeah, let's get some final thoughts before we finish.
Based on the topic?
Based on the topic, yeah.
Anything you want to speak, some of the super chats, you can speak your piece, any final things you just want to get off your chest. Now is, Mike's
Now's the time.
I believe that if we work to kind of understanding where people come from when they're in certain situations that make them sleeping around and do certain things, I feel like we should just accept that people are on their own journeys. This is not what I want to say. I feel like I can put this back.
You could be last if you want. We can go around.
Rewind and come again.
Yeah.
Right now?
All right.
Let's do that. And then, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, go on.
I got nothing.
You got nothing to say?
Not really. No. It's been an interesting little conversation we've all had. And
And we can disagree too.
Okay,
right?
we can agree to disagree. So, appreciate it.
Fair enough.
My apologies if I've at all been.
Do not apologize. You're yourself. Go on.
I just wish we had more time to talk. I had like so much to say about these topics. I didn't want to interrupt everyone else, but
You should have.
I just blew everyone away. So,
How long are you in London?
till tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow.
Come back tomorrow, but then it's
We fly out tomorrow evening or tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to do an extended cut right now, and then we'll just get everything out.
If you want to let people know where to follow you.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram, Real Luis Mercado. It's pretty much, you'll find everything else from there.
Yeah, I mean, to conclude, I don't think there's anything wrong with necessarily being a hoe. Just like, don't expect to get married. Don't expect to find like a high value guy who wants to settle down with you. And yeah, just men in general tend to be more attracted to feminine, youthful women who don't have a lot of baggage. Yeah. If you guys want to follow some of my content, I have a YouTube channel where I talk about a lot of stuff.
I'm going to follow you.
Yeah, it's just my name, Justin Mark, M-A-R-C, Justin Mark. I also have a podcast, actually. It's called The Wingman Podcast. You should YouTube search The Wingman Podcast. I talk about a lot of these concepts. And, yeah, thanks for having me, guys. So my Instagram is drunkjustin2, so you guys can follow me there as well.
We can go back to you, Chris.
Yeah, so I am fully aware of the fact that sometimes I can be a bit whimsical with my fears, but it is genuinely because I want to see society that works towards the best for everyone. And so the reason I enjoy being in these spaces is to have these conversations to kind of try and figure out how we can do that. And I don't believe that is through dictating or making people bend their nose. I think there's a lot of ways that we can build a successful society. We have to allow people in space to find their own roles. And I think the issue is that we're forcing people into spaces, and so then they act out as a result of being restricted. So, yeah, no, I'm really grateful to be here. My band is releasing our song in October. It's called Glass Bridges. Glass Bridges probably sounds different in an English accent. Glass Bridges UK, that's the one. Yes, that's it. We'll be releasing our first single in October. And then also I'm doing releasing some new music in the year as well. So you can follow me at I am Simone Kitapani.
I'm just going to say, listen, if you have watched any of our videos,
Tell them.
And you haven't subscribed, then we have what?
Beef.
What have we got? What?
Beef.
Okay, so if you haven't done that, do it right now. Follow me at Sarah Garvey on all social medias. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm gonna let Pearl close out the show.
Okay, guys. You already know. Go subscribe to our 2 Clips channels that we have going. I think we're gonna do a 3rd Clips channel too this month, so watch out for that. Also, don't forget to sign up for our memberships. We let everyone in the chat today, but we will be turning it to members only next stream. I just think that's trashy, and like if you want to have a family someday, like that's.
That difference between the woman and women that would fall like now, and everything is social media, everything is in your face to say this is what you have to do, and this is gospel. Would I do it as a woman, as a 36-year-old woman? Probably not, because I probably look like an idiot, and I would embarrass myself. But in order to do that, some people will look at it like, oh, I can make money to make sure I can let other women feel this is the way I'm meant to be as a woman. So,
I also think it's a reflection of what we as women think is valuable to a man nowadays. Like, we think that our value, a lot of it comes from sex and being attractive, and that goes back to why this is happening, going viral, and not finishing stuff. Because we've got this perception that guys primarily like us, or our only value to get a guy to commit comes from, are we good in bed, and are we attractive enough, and how quick can we do it? So when, at least in my opinion, quality men don't value that as much as a girl who goes to finishing school and knows how to play the role of a woman in a relationship.
Well, it's to guys like that who want growth.
What's interesting to me is the number of people in the club. Like, they've got some really good marketing going on there, I will say that.
To add to your point, is that a Donny there? Like, what is I mean, that guy there he doesn't look like he should be in that club. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
But do you think it's more embarrassing for the woman or the man? Because you never know can the man be feeling embarrassed to do that video right now. He hasn't said anything.
The guy.
He's lying down.
I think it's more embarrassing for a woman, but she doesn't know it.
Do you think though?
Yeah, because I just think like that's trashy. Like, yeah, I just think that's trashy. And like, if you want to have a family someday, like that's gonna be on the internet forever. Yeah. And so even if you don't have kids now, if you want to have kids someday, like that's your mom.
Or
like, do you as a man like want that to be a girl?
But like, for example, if that was a future husband that you found and he was beneath that woman, would you feel weight?
I mean, I wouldn't. Do I want the guy I married to be up under? No, I don't. but I don't think it holds the same weight because I just think men and women are different, and so like